And welcome to another episode of You Feel That with Bryce III, the best podcast there is for aspiring change makers looking to learn how to master their emotions, because emotions run everything. Underneath everything, there's this energy in motion. And this is the platform where we can come and talk about all things energy in motion. I am, of course, your host, Bryce III, and this is me in the present day. I'm in the studio in my new crib and just getting ready for this new energy that's coming in around You Feel That, and some of the new moves that we're making, some of the new people that we're bringing on board, some of the new interviews that I got lined up for you. I got some special guests lined up for you, and launching this next season of our lives, this next season of our community, this next season of energy. And I'm super excited about it. And in order to do so, I figured I'd make a runway of some of my favorite all-star episodes of the podcast thus far. And today's episode is a very special one. I just actually got done listening to it, and I remember where I was emotionally when I created this episode. I actually recorded this episode one time, and then I had to walk out of the studio. I had all my little notes and stuff, and I had to walk out the studio, and then I had to come back. And when I came back, this was the result of me just throwing everything to the side. And it's look, let me just be real right now. Let me just put everything on the floor right now. Let me just express to you that this is what it is that I'm going through. And let me express to you that it's okay to go through stuff. And let's have compassion for our process. And really, this is the heart of the show. Learning to show up for our calling, whatever that calling may be, whether you're a creative, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a father, whether you're a mother, however it is that you show up, learning to show up for that process in such a way that when it gets tough, because it inevitably does, that we are able to give ourselves grace and leeway and compassion and understanding, and not push away any of the experience, but welcome it all, including that which may be a bit difficult. And this episode that we're running back today is definitely an example of that in action and what it looks like. And that's always been another motivating factor for me to show up, because it's how do I teach so many of these things and not show up and practice it? So not only do I have that clinch on me that lets me know you got to show up for people because you've been called to show up for people, but I also have that clinch that's show up for people and be honest in the process. In the meanwhile, let people know what it is you're experiencing, so that they can see that somebody who's doing the things that you're doing can experience things that may be similar to what they're experiencing, but still show up for themselves, for others, but still show up. So this is an episode that's really close to my heart, and I agree 100% wholeheartedly with this guy. So running back these episodes, whether you've heard this episode before or you're new to the community and you're catching up on some of these all-star episodes, this episode is a good one to listen to. That's another thing too, because a lot of the stuff we touch about on this podcast is evergreen. It'll forever be relevant, and going back and listening to these episodes so I can repurpose them for you is really showing me that, we're creating evergreen content here. We're helping each other to be able to show up fully for whatever life has for us and for whatever we want to create. And so without further ado, let's get into this episode. But before we do, I just want to let you know, if you want to stick around after the episode, I'll be doing a short 5 to 10 minute guided meditation. I speak on this episode a lot about my personal meditation practice, and I think that's a big thing that may be different from my practice now, having developed since I was practicing then, is that I am focusing on the aversion. So in this episode, I speak a bit about wanting to sit down, but then feeling like I'm repulsed by sitting down. I'm repelled. I don't want to sit down. And now I've learned to kind of look at that inclination, look at that, what is that? Is that aversion? And investigate that. But yeah, so sharing my meditation practice with you, sharing a practice with you, a guided meditation, or maybe might be the catalyst to you starting your meditation practice, or may give you different perspective on your own personal meditation practice. So stick around after the episode, 5 to 10 minute meditation practice. And for real, without further ado, this is episode 21. Play this on rough days. Hey, you feel that?
You are now tuned into You Feel That with Bryce III.
Yo, and welcome to another episode of You Feel That with Bryce the Third, the show where we aim to turn your I can'ts into I got this by providing you with tools and ways of looking at life that empower you emotionally and mentally, no matter what field you are in. Too long didn't read version, mental and emotional wellness for the rest of us. How y'all doing? I am, of course, your host, Bryce the Third, and today I just wanted to pop on for one of those I'm here for a good time, not for a long time episodes. We have been having guests on for the past 2 episodes, so it'll be a little deviation from the guest for a second just to come on and speak my piece. I'm having a day today, and it has prompted the conversation that I want to have with you all today. So here on You Feel That, we do talk a lot about emotional and mental wellness and all the tools that go into living an intentionally emotionally well and fit, mentally well and fit life. And I wanted to just pop on for a second to let you know that even with all the work that we do intentionally, there will still be days where it's like, I don't know what the fuck. I just don't know. I just don't know what the fuck. And those days are necessary. The days where we don't know what step to take, or we've been backing off from meditation, or we haven't been journaling, or haven't been using our tools. Like, even in not using our tools, there's something that lies within that not using of the tools. So it's like, why am I so repelled? Because, okay, so for the past maybe like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, I've sat in meditation in the morning time like I usually do, but I usually will sit down in meditation more times throughout the day. And I have just been repelled. Like, I have just been like, nah, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to sit in meditation. That's not what I'm trying to do right now. And I'd find something else for me to do. But what has been happening has been this nagging kind of underlying energy in my life that is telling me like, oh, I'm not feeling right. Like, I'm not living right. I'm not living it in accordance to the things that I've intended for my life to look like. And that's absolutely okay. And I say that's okay. I shared it with you on the show today because it's got to be okay because it's part of the process. And I think we could tend to, like, my life is not perfect, or I listen to this podcast with this guy Bryce the Third, and he always be talking like he be on tip and he's always on the beam. Like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And anybody that would ever tell you like, if you do this one thing or if you tap into this, everything will be perfect forever, they are lying or they are gassing up whatever it is that they're pushing. Because the truth is it's a practice. I think the biggest thing that I could ever convey to you all on this show ever, like, you could listen to this show and listen to this sentence and take this and run with it and be good for the rest of your life without tapping into anything else that I have to offer, is that it's all a practice. And in practice, there are going to be some days where you show up and it's like, man, I'm not landing any buckets. Everything I'm shooting is not landing. Or, man, I'm usually so fluid and good at this, but today I'm not the best at that. And those days are absolutely necessary for the bigger picture. The bigger picture is living well. And in wellness, we have to have that contrast as to, okay, this is what I don't desire. So if I didn't have intention, if I didn't set intention, if I didn't have this list of things that it is that I intend for my life to be like, look like, feel like, I wouldn't feel incongruent when I'm not doing the things that would help me to live that life. So I would be okay. In a short version, I would be okay. Like, if I wasn't meditating or if I wasn't journaling, if I didn't intend to live the life that meditating and journaling would provide for me. So having that experience of, this ain't it. Having that experience allows for us to continue to create the life that, oh yeah, this is it. This is it. Like, we have to have the, this ain't it, to have the, oh yeah, this is it. Right? Like, one is the prerequisite for the other almost. A lot of times we'll need that contrast to even visualize or to have any type of receptivity to this life that we desire. So it's okay. It's okay on those days. If you're having one of those days today, or if you just need to go back and replay this episode that you've listened to before and you're having one of those days, this is the sign that it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to struggle a bit. It's okay to flap your arms a bit. It's okay to scream and yell a bit. So I've been through a couple of things today. It was a snowstorm today. Traffic was making me feel a certain type of way that I don't normally feel. People around me was making me feel a little impatient, like I just wasn't really rocking with people in general. I didn't really want to be touched. I felt like my patience was at an all-time low, and I knew that I needed to sit in meditation. I know we're going to keep coming back to this meditation for me, because that's also like the part of the practice. It's like a game of operation. Like, well, what is it? Like, what is it? And a lot of times, like, people who aren't well will push that off. Like, no, I don't want to look at what it is. I don't care what it is. Matter of fact, give me something to drink, or give me something to smoke, or let me go have some sex, or let me go over here, or let me leave the house, or let me have something to eat, or let me do anything but look at that. And even in wellness, we can tend to kind of participate in a bit of that existential avoidance. But like, I just know something needs to be looked at. So in wellness, we allow for these moments to show us what it is that needs to be looked at. And a lot of times it may be something that we haven't necessarily had any experience with. Maybe it might be a variable of what it is that we're familiar with that we haven't had experience with. Maybe we're in the midst of growth. Maybe we're getting too small for our skin. And this is the process of allowing for ourselves to get out of that skin and get into some new skin. And in me and my life, like, there's a lot of things. The book just dropped. I'm dealing with some things with the book launch, making sure everything is together and having peace throughout it all. And I got my first event coming up, first event of many, which I plan to like put things together for speakers and just mixing music with the ways, the emotional and mental empowerment. I've already got some travel booked on for the year for 2022, and just learning about my logistics in my life and learning how to schedule things in a way that feels appropriate and works with my energy and works with some of the things that I'm doing here in Detroit. And it's quite a bit. I've never been this person before. And when we continue to transform, when we continue to grow, not only do our responsibilities shift and change, but so do our inner workings. And a lot of times our inner workings might not align with what is going on the outside anymore. So our inner workings will tell us like, yo, like, there's something different and we don't have the equipment, or we need to upgrade, or we need some new attention. We need to be sat down with and talked to or meditated on. And that's, that's the process for real. But that's the beautiful thing about this way of life. It's like having a relationship with ourselves. I've told a lot of people recently that somewhere along the way, like, I entered a relationship with myself. And if I don't pay myself the attention that myself wants, myself gets on the phone and hollers at me like, hey, Bryce, you ain't called me in a minute. Where you at? You ain't paying me no attention. And this may happen in ways that pop up like anxiety or fear or physical breakdown. I'm not drinking enough water, or I'm not getting enough physical exercise, or like this is the process. This is the process. And to allow for it to not be overwhelming, it has to be a process, and we have to feed the process compassion as well as attention. Compassion and attention for ourselves in our process allows for us to show up in love, not in, oh, I should have known that, or, oh, why am I getting so frustrated? I should know not to be so frustrated. I don't have no control over people who are driving. Why am I this? Why am I that? Like the whys, that's not handling ourselves in a loving and compassionate way, and can actually add to some of the symptoms that we're experiencing of high anxiety, or of not knowing, or of frustration, or of sadness, or of loneliness, or all these things that may manifest when we're going through some of these transformations. So all in all, I just wanted to pop in to remind you that it's a practice. It's a practice. Everything we talk about here on You Feel That is a practice. And you owe it to yourself to give yourself understanding and compassion. You owe it to your process to give your process understanding and compassion. You owe it to all the relationships around you, because we cannot give that which we don't possess. So if we don't have a relationship with ourselves in this manner, we can never give to a relationship outside of ourselves anywhere close to this. We can only see other people as much as we see ourselves. Let's not run. Don't run. There's no good or bad. So if you're experiencing some tough days, it's okay to have a day where you just don't fuck with people. It's okay. It's okay. And that doesn't make you a bad person. And it doesn't make your experience a bad experience. I tend to see through the lens, and I tend to teach that we focus on seeing through the lens that allows for us to see everything that happens to us in life as something that propels us to who it is that we're supposed to be. That's what empowers us, versus the thing where it's like, I shouldn't be going through this, or this is like, when we live like that, now we're condemning ourselves and we're judging ourselves. And if we can't give that which we don't possess, then if we condemn and judge ourselves, guess what we're going to do to the people around us? Guess what we're going to do in the relationships around us? Guess what we're going to do in the circumstances around us? Guess what we're going to do, right? So change ourselves, change the world. And just know that you have it within you to continue to show up for yourself in love and compassion. With all that said, head over to Apple ratings and reviews and leave me a rating and review. Leave me a 5-star over there. If you got anything out of this little nugget today, leave me a little paragraph. Let people know how much this podcast has helped you out. This has been one hell of a journey, and I know we're just getting started. There's a lot of business behind this podcasting thing, and I'm really excited about building it, bringing some people in on the team, and just working at making this content better, more cohesive, and something that you can play forever, something that's evergreen. Some of my favorite podcasts, I listen to podcasts when I go to sleep at night, and I listen to the episodes. I listen to a lot of Abraham Hicks stuff, and I just replay it over and over and over again, and it doesn't get tired because every time I listen to it, I hear something different. And so that's the type of content that we're aiming to create over here. You feel that? So if you're getting anything close to that, head over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a rating and review and let other people know how much you love the show. I've also just entered a contest to get sponsorship on this podcast for up to a certain amount of money, and they got this little thing where if you go and write a love letter about my podcast, like, it increases my chances of getting that sponsorship. So I'm gonna drop that in the show notes as well. So if you want to go and leave a love letter on that contest for me, that'll be cool as heck. Right? Go subscribe to the YouTube. You can catch all of my videos, include my music videos that come out, because you know I am an artist, as well as every episode if you feel that, because we filmed the video of it. You know my book is out now. You can go to the website and copy your purchase of the handbook, a pocket guide for creating your desired reality and being a good human while you're at it. And I'm telling you, I'm hearing great things from the people who have gotten it in their hands already. And for the people who are waiting on it, it's coming second week of February, no later than the second week of February. I got a box of books headed to my crib now. As soon as I get here, I'm signing them and I'm sending them out. Follow me on social media at Bryce the Third and at You Feel That Podcast. Wish me safe travels, because I'm headed to Houston in the morning to go kick it with my friends, the Suffers, the 9-piece band from Houston that I opened up for here at L Club in Detroit, and they're just really good people. Their first single, I'm on it, and it's dropping in February on Black History Month, and I'm going to shoot the video with them. They're flying me out there, and can't wait to go kick it with them. So wish me safe travels, and last but not least, have compassion for your process. And I'll say that 1,000,000,000,000 times before we close the curtain on this podcast. I don't know how long this podcast is going to go. You know, like some of the best shows like have finales. But some of my favorite podcasts I started listening to 7, 8, 9 years ago, and they're still going today. So who knows how long we'll be here. But the theme song of us being here, one of the theme songs, is have compassion for your process. This is a process. It's not going to happen overnight, and there is no it. There is no it. So when I say it's not going to happen overnight, what the hell am I talking about? There is no it. You are perfect. You are whole. You are complete. Be intentional. Love on each other. Have compassion for your process. And I'll catch you next time on You Feel That? With Bryce the Third. Welcome back. As promised, now we're going to do a quick guided meditation. I hope that you all were able to pull out some nuggets from that episode. That episode for me is necessary on so many different levels. But I played it back on days where I found that I was having a tough time. And I know my meditation practice allows for me to allow for a circumstance versus having to fight back against it or resist it. And so I'm just grateful I get to share my practice with you today. So if you can find a comfortable position, if you are on the road, do not close your eyes while you drive. Just contemplate what it is that we may touch on throughout this meditation. If you are somewhere that you can be still, find you a spot, and if you're comfortable, you may close your eyes. We'll start by bringing awareness and intention to our breath. Taking some deep intentional breaths in the nostrils, out the mouth. In the nostrils. Out the mouth. A few more deep intentional breaths in the nostrils. Out the mouth. Wherever you are, whether you're somewhere that you can be still and close your eyes, or you're behind the wheel, or you're in line at the grocery store, we can take this moment to bring awareness to our circumstances, how we are in this moment. Making the declaration that it's like this now. Deep breath in the nostrils, out the mouth. One more in the nostrils, out the mouth. At this moment, we'll allow our breath to return to its natural state. Allowing our body to rise and fall naturally along the wave of our breath. As we meditate and contemplate a bit on rough days, we've all had the experience, a day where things aren't going as we planned them to, a day where we may feel lost or without guidance, a day where we feel as if we need answers that we might not have. Just a blah day. And in this moment, we bring awareness to our recognition of the type of day that can elicit these feelings of, I wish it wasn't here. I wish there were better days. I wish I was stronger. I wish things were different. Coming into understanding, to give ourselves compassion, because this is an absolutely natural process. It is natural to feel as if we don't want what we may be experiencing. The mind tends to exert energy towards discovering how we can make this circumstance different, not as uneasy, not as uncomfortable. It's just our nature. But in this moment, I want to take a second to allow things to be exactly as they are. Feeling the rise and the fall of the body along the natural wave of the breath. Whether we be deep in meditation, fully concentrating upon this practice with our eyes closed in a room, or we be in the line at the grocery store behind the wheel of our car. Just feeling the body rise and fall along the natural wave of the breath. Bringing awareness and attention to this process as if there are no other important things to pay attention to. As if this was all that there was to focus our attention upon. Would it be all right with you if life got easier? Can we notice where there may be aversion to our experience? What does that aversion feel like? Is it a tightness in the shoulders or in the belly? Is it a clenching of the jaw? If our eyes are closed, am I squinting close my eyes as if trying to force them shut? Where is the aversion? You are absolutely exactly where you are supposed to be in this moment. All that you are experiencing is here for you to experience. Pushing against the experience creates a third party of an experience. Some call it suffering. We won't call it anything. We'll just bring attention to it. In this moment, we allow what is to be. Without an attachment to resolution, without a need to know the answers, with no attachment to reprieve. It's like this now. What may happen is that we begin to soften into the moment, which allows for us to be receptive. That receptivity allows for us to view our circumstances in a way that fuels us, supports us, walks us through, allows for our unfolding. This is the energy best suited for our rough days. The energy of compassion and understanding. As this meditation comes to a close, I'd like for you to take a snapshot of this softening. Take a picture of this softening with your heart. And know that it is accessible to you at all times. You can return here when days get too rough. Feel free to play back this episode and skip to the meditation so that you can be reminded of how to access this space. But even without me guiding you, this space is available to you. Sending you love, grace, compassion, and understanding for your journeys. Let's take one last deep breath in the nostrils and out the mouth. If your eyes are closed, you may blink your eyes open. If you're on the road or at the grocery store still, just settle in your awareness and congratulate yourself for sitting through a meditation and for grounding yourself and for bringing awareness to the forefront of your experience. Thank you all for listening to You Feel That. I will catch you on the next episode.